Hello, this is Bill Clodsey, and welcome to a vintage Cube Draft Online. These have been up for a while. I've done a few, and I'd like to show you what I've learned. They always spice it up a bit by adding some new cards from the new sets. There's no examples here, but it does change slightly over time. Mainly, it focuses on all the most powerful cards from across Magic's history. And we want to take advantage of that by winning early, getting something down that's hard to beat. And Channel is a perfect example of how to do that. First of all, I love this art. Rebecca Guay is one of my favorites. So stylistic, all her cards kind of look like this. And there's no power in this pack. This cube features the Power 9 and some other good ones, Soul Ring and Mana Drain and things. But Channel lets you turn 1 or turn 2 out some giant colorless thing like Emrakul or any of the Eldrazi Titans, or Ugin, or Karn. It can get pretty absurd. And we get past another really good one. These are kind of in my top 20 good cards. Like Channel and Library is good on its own. If you draw this early, you slow yourself down a little bit for the ability to draw an extra card every turn. And usually that's good enough. I mean, and if you don't want to slow yourself down, you can still tap this for mana. So very low cost to put this in your deck. It's a very high pick. So they could have opened a piece of power. I think there was one pack I opened which had 3 Moxes in it. Not just like the actual Power 9 Moxes, not just Mox Diamond or something. But anyway, that is going to be the pick here. Grim Monolith is another good one. 2 mana for some serious ramp. And not much else to even consider here. Although every card in Cube will be somewhat powerful. You can't really ignore them. Now what? Nothing to channel out, really. We do want to stay pretty much heavy green because why? Because channel is double green. So in order for this to be powerful, you need to consistently be able to do it on turn 2 or even turn 1 if you're lucky. Black Lotus gets it done. Mox, several of the Moxes, but especially Mox Emerald. You know, Mox Diamond and Chrome Mox also sort of get the job done sometimes. Shardless Agent here. I'm looking at 2 cards, Shardless Agent and Gitaxian Probe. I just love the Probe. It makes your deck a bit smaller. It always kind of works. Shardless Agent is another way to kind of find channel. And I'm going to take that here. Oracle of Moldiah is pretty neat too. But we can kind of build our deck into something that can take advantage of our first few picks here. Alright, what can we follow this up with? Planeswalkers, still good. Threats that keep on working after you play them. Tropical Island is another one if we're fixing our mana. All the Signets are great mana ramp. So I'm really looking at Ashiok, Nissa Worldwaker, a little expensive. I'd rather have Freyalise as my 5 mana Planeswalker, and Tropical Island. I really enjoy Ashiok. It is a hard-to-kill threat that wins fairly quickly. And Tropical Island, because it works perfectly with our first 2 picks here. I'm going to go with Ashiok. It's a little sweeter. The fixing shouldn't be too hard to pick up later if we need some of that. And although there are some other good cards here, Golgari Signet helps fix for all the colors we need now. We know we're green pretty much with this channel, and we'll look for things to use it on. But Golgari Signet helps us do green-black for Ashiok. And even if it was a colorless Signet to add to help ramp, it's still good. So the Signets are all very powerful cards. A lot of white in this pack, and we're pretty far from being white right now because all of our cards are not aggressive, and these low-cost white cards are pretty aggressive. Wall of Roots does what we want it to do. It's fine to hit off Shardless Agent, it ramps, it defends. Garruk, I don't love this Garruk. It's good. He's a fine card to make a 3/3 every turn, but take a root. You want something to do early. And here she is, Fraley's. One of my favorite planeswalkers. The -2 here to destroy artifact or enchantment, that's what really gets people. There are so many powerful enchantments and artifacts that every other turn killing one is pretty insane. And the +2 makes not only a body, but ramps. So easy pick here. I really do love that card. Scavenging Ooze, we're running out of insane cards. Chandra, the most powerful card here. But I'm not sure if we want to do green-red, especially with double red. And Scavenging Ooze is fine. Some decks, if you run into a Reanimator deck, they might just not be able to beat Scavenging Ooze. Might be the first card to get cut right now, as things stand. Rakdos Return, another powerful one. I do want to pass this on, put someone else into black-red while we take Anticipate or possibly Kitchen Finks. Kitchen Finks being good in against an aggressive deck, but it's also just a pretty good card. Anticipate, though, is another one we can hit off of Shardless Agent, and it's not too embarrassing. Bring to Light. We're about 3 colors, so this gets a creature or instant or artifact to cast for 5 mana. Not the most exciting thing. For us, it might be Tassiger. Huntmaster has a lot of value, but I don't want these high-power mid-range creatures. I want to really go over the top. So Tassiger can just be a really cheap thing to do. Never be too sad about that. Wall of Blossoms, another fine little wall to help us out here. It's like the green version of Wall of Omens, just an 0/4, but you draw a card. So can't be too sad with that. Taiga, in case we do splash some red card. And Gurmag Angler, which is just kind of the same card as Tassiger, a little more expensive and a little bigger. Okay, Trinket Mage. Nothing to get with Trinket Mage now, but this is the kind of thing that can find your Moxes and your Black Lotus and your Mana Crypts or whatever you can get. So he's a good one. Alright, this is like a Sultai deck of some sort. Pack 2, this is our big chance to open Emrakul. The easiest win off of a channel. Something like that. No big colorless threat in this pack, but we do get Harmonize. And drawing lots of cards helps you assemble a combo, like your channel Emrakul or whatever it might be. Flooded Strand, does that help much? Not really. Taiga's not really something to get with it. So what's the pick here? It's not an exciting first pick for a Harmonize. But overall, this pack is kind of unexciting, so yeah, I'll take that. It looks like we're heavy green at the moment. Ooh, Jace. Jace, Mox Diamond, and Polluted Delta as our fetch land. And some other Storm cards. I'm not going to look at those quite yet. Polluted Delta makes it easier to cast Ashiok, and maybe we can pick up a blue-green or a black-green land, so it'll fix all of our stuff. So that is a good one, but Jace is just one of the best planeswalkers you can ask for. I might just take that here. Yeah, let's take Jace. And here it is, Emrakul. Emrakul will do it. So channel, pay 15 life, get 15 mana. Cast Emrakul. Attack for, get your extra turn, which is the great part about channel. You actually get to cast this, so you get the trigger. Definitely picking that up. Ignoring the rest of the pack, doesn't matter. And then we can follow it up with Savannah. Doesn't fix any of our colors right now, so that is less exciting than Ancient Tomb. It doesn't tap for green, but it does help cast a turn 1 Signet into a turn 2 maybe Harmonize or who knows what. So it is a powerful little play. And losing the life for it, yeah, hurts, but isn't the end of the world in a format where people aren't always winning just by attacking with red or white creatures, although some of the decks will do that, and you can't be too reckless with your life total. Alright, Bazaar of Baghdad to help assemble our combo. Deranged Hermit in case we get opposition, very good with that. Lodestone Golem, because it's a good card with Channel. Or Treasure Cruise. A lot of options here, all about the same power level. Maybe Sower of Temptation is the best card we can get. Yeah, you know, I'm for that. We can take Sower of Temptation. If our opponent gets out some giant monster, we can always grab it with a Sower. And we do look to be kind of blue here. Okay, what else? What else? Mental Misstep. Having something to do on turn 1 would be nice. And this counters a lot of powerful spells. It counters all the little elves your opponent might have, and it counters Ancestral Recall, one of the most powerful spells in the cube. And if you don't see many of those things, you can sideboard this out, or even leave it in the sideboard to put it in later. Progenitus, we don't have a good way to get this out. Certainly doesn't work with Channel. And Phyrexian Revoker, or Kadotha Forge Master. This is like a slow tinker, but if you have enough artifacts, you can keep using it. And it is good in the artifact deck, but let's take Revoker. The fact that this shuts down a Planeswalker single-handedly and attacks and blocks, I mean, it's a good little value creature. I do like the style of deck that plays Monastery Mentor. Maybe it's just Villainous Wealth for this deck. I could imagine a turn in the mid-game where we cast Channel and have Sultai mana up, and we can just do this for 8 or 10 or whatever. And that is a lot of value. Okay, anything else here? Song of Dryads, just to keep our opponent under control. If that was a better sword, I would have considered it, but generally the two swords I'm looking for are Sword of Body and Mind, protection from blue-green, and Sword of Fire and Ice, protection from red-blue. Not because of the colors of protection so much as the abilities are good and limited. Leyline of Sanctity for the sideboard. We'll never be able to cast this with our current mana base, but against the Storm deck, I wouldn't mind having this in our opening 7. Alright, anything else? No, we're running out of good stuff. Maybe Shallow Grave. If our Emrakul gets discarded? That's interesting, yeah, I'll take that. Emrakul, when it hits the graveyard, it actually is there for a moment, so if you have an instant way to bring it back, then the rest of your graveyard will get shuffled and it'll be back, so you could kind of discard it. We don't have a way to do it now, but you'd have to have an instant speed effect that brings it back. And that Annihilator trigger and 15 damage, that is a good reason to use this as a combo. But we'll just leave that there for now. Diabolic Edict and Frantic Search. Again, another good way to look for your combo. If you can find, say, Channel Emrakul, then you untap the 3 lands and you can do it right away. Ooh, Bazaar of Baghdad. Well, now we do have a way to discard. I mean, this is another way to discard with Shallow Grave. So I'll take that and some other white stuff. Alright, pack 3 has to help us out a bit, because we do have a couple powerful ways to win, but we need more. We need more mana fixing, which we haven't really been prioritizing. We might even have to cut black at this point, because all of our lands are colorless or don't tap for mana. The Signet helps a bit. We don't even have the green creatures that fix mana. We only have Wall of Roots, which adds green. And I suppose Freyalise, which makes little Llanowar Elves. Alright, who are we up against? Oh, looks like it's coming up here, and we did it. We got a piece of power, Time Walk. Upheaval is cool. It doesn't look like we have enough ramp to really take advantage of Upheaval, but it's never the worst. Definitely picking up Time Walk here, and it is a bit sad to pick Birds of Paradise. We would like to see a few cards like this. But yeah, let's get this Time Walk in here, and hopefully our person sitting to the right of us open 2 pieces of power or something, like 2 Moxes, and we can get one of them. So right now, our most powerful cards are like Library, the Channel, Time Walk, of course, Jace, Ashiok. I do like Ashiok, pretty powerful, and Emrakul, which works with our stuff. Just need the fixing. Come on, what can we get? Heartbeat of Spring for an early Emrakul, but you still need 8 lands to make that work. Where are the cheap creatures to play? Green Sun Zenith doesn't really help us out that much. I could see taking Heartbeat here. It does a poor channel impersonation, but if you Heartbeat and Time Walk, then you get the first mana from it. Yeah, I'll take Heartbeat. Not exciting, but the other reason to take this is to use Villainous Wealth. If you can have 6 lands out and do this for 9 on your opponent, I mean, their deck's going to be powerful too, so if you can just cast all of their cards from their top 9, you should win that game. Kozilek. Yeah, I like Kozilek. Ooh, do we have to take Noble Hierarch here? I think we might. The only problem here is that, like, we have Channel and we have Emrakul, but if we play Kozilek, we also get that combo. But we definitely need something to do on turn 1, so to pass Noble Hierarch is a little too greedy, I think. And we have so much to do with the extra blue mana that I've got to do it here. This fixes 2 colors, so that is definitely a priority. Ooh, Eureka. Now, normally I'd be excited about Eureka having Emrakul and things like that, but we only have 1 value card to bring in with Emrakul, and a couple Planeswalkers and Sower. They do work, but it's not the critical mass you need for Eureka. We could pick this Glenelendra, though. Some decks can't beat Glenelendra. And yeah, that's got to be it. Everflowing Chalice is fun with Channel, but that's just kind of silly. So yeah, Glenelendra, get in there. Verdant Catacombs. Okay, our first real fetch land. It lets us play 1 swamp or something, and Ashiok is a possibility, Villainous Wealth and all that. So happy to pick up Verdant Catacombs here. Reclamation Sage is another one that's really powerful in Vintage Cube, where there's so many artifacts and enchantments running around. Alright, Arid Mesa. That could pick up a Taiga, but you don't want to play a card where there's only 1 card to get with it, because if you have both in your hand, you're in pretty bad shape. And it doesn't get anything else, so that is not going to be the pick. Hedron Archive looks a bit better. It's ramp and it's card draw, so not only does it help cast Villainous Wealth and even Emrakul from time to time, it's also a way to just refill your hand. The mana you're spending on it is not good enough for either half, but for both halves it adds up and becomes a good card. Alright, I'm more or less happy with this deck. It's a pretty cool deck. Ooh, let's take Myr Battlesphere. Oath of Nissa is okay too, but oh, maybe that's the pick. But Myr Battlesphere does win very quickly, and it is another thing we can play with the channel, and we do want to make sure we have enough to go off with that. The good part about Oath of Nissa, it finds a lot of the creatures we need to play, and it also lets us cast easy Ashioks and Jaces, no matter what we have. So hopefully that wheels, but I like Mer Battlesphere here better. This attacks for 12. If you still have all your little mirror artifact tokens. And that is a lot of power. Fauna Shaman versus Lumbering Falls. Lumbering Falls fixes a little bit. Fauna Shaman lets us trade a creature in hand for like Emrakul or Mer Battlesphere when we need it. Is that worth it? Or do we have enough cards already? Yeah, I'll take Lumbering Falls. They're both good. Seasons Past and Mystic Snake. So we've run out of amazing possibilities since this pack is wheeled. But what do we want here? Mystic Snake's always going to be good. Seasons Past doesn't really get much back. Harmonize, things when they die. But yeah, I'll take Mystic Snake. We might not play either. Green Sun to get Noble Hierarch, or... doesn't actually get that much, does it? Well, nothing else here for us. Could cut the Hedron Archive, so what are we looking at? And even the Mental Misstep, but I kind of want to leave that in. Lightning Greaves to attack with Emrakul the turn we play it. Or the Mere Battlesphere. Early cuts would be Scavenging Ooze. Phyrexian Revoker, maybe, if we have enough things to do on turn 2. And then this is 23 in the main deck. Edric. Edric is good if you have a lot of elves, like if you have like 4 elves and a couple creatures on turn 2, then Edric is a lot better. But we don't have anything else to do, so we'll take that. Searing Blaze. Searing Blaze is especially good against our Noble Hierarch, but we'll take the Ravine. Doesn't really matter there. Alright. I should mention that this is a single elimination, so this is more like a live cube draft than a league, which is more popular online because it's just a faster tournament. But this is single elimination, so all the cards we passed were picked up by someone that we could play against. And every card we took can't be in our opponent's deck, so that's more like a real cube experience. So what are we doing here? Yeah, it looks like we'll try to play Sultai, so all 3 colors, and we're really splashing black just for Villainous Wealth and Ashiok. The green cards to get with Green Sun Zenith, there aren't that many. Noble Hierarch being the big one to get, but no Silver Bullet card that can deal with a permanent type or anything like that. Trinket Mage doesn't have any targets, so I'll put that away. The Crater's Claws is the fireball of the format, so Channel Crater's Claws could win pretty early. But again, not something super likely. What else is there? Do we want to cut Tassiger? Like we don't have that much to do with black mana, and I don't want to put 3 things in there when we only have 3 sources or so. So do we replace it? We're not playing white, but I'll leave that in the sideboard. Forge Master is not going to do anything. You know what? I'll put Hedron Archive back in, just for the card draw and the reasons I talked about earlier. Now we'll do some mana balance. Pretty even between blue and green, so 10 of each of those, and we have a couple black cards. Or 11 blue, I guess. So 8-7, just go 8-8-1, and try to keep one basic swamp in the deck for things that might want to find that. Is there anything that actually does that? No, we might not even have anything that finds a basic swamp, so if we have enough ways to generate black mana without that, we won't need to use it. But it looks like we don't, so we'll leave that basic in there. Ancient Tomb and Lumbering Falls for one of these. Library. Now, we want to make sure we can get a turn 2 channel some of the time, so I don't want to cut too many more forests. And now we have 8. And the islands are mainly for this kind of stuff. So maybe we actually cut one more island for one more forest, and that feels about right for this deck. So we've got 3 black sources for our 2 black cards. We've got, where is it? Noble Hierarch to help get our double green, and Wall of Roots to help get our double green. We also have Hierarch, which helps get the blue. So 7 blue here for a bunch of blue cards where Mental Misstep doesn't really count. And all in all, this is a potentially very powerful deck. So we'll see. I mean, anything can happen in Vintage Cube. Stay tuned for the matches.